Rainbow Six Siege is one of the largest games in the gaming community, with an ever-growing player base. With the game being almost 9 years old, naturally there's a lot of things that were left on the cutting room floor. This includes operators, and surprisingly, there's 8 confirmed cut operators from the game. The first cut operator was called Point Man. While we don't know exactly what his loadout was, his portrait shows a similar look to that of Monty, and he apparently used the exact same shield, being 3 health and 1 speed. The second cut operator was called Assaulter, with a very similar loadout to that of Ash, minus her breaching gun, being a 2 health and 2 speed op. A third cut operator was called Breacher. Much like with Point Man, we don't know exactly what his loadout consisted, but based off his operator portrait, it seems like he was going to be similar to Thermite, but with a 1 speed and 1 health. The fourth cut operator was a defending operator called Sentry. Based off his operator portrait, he seemed to have some sort of landmine that he would use, being a 3 health and 1 speed op. The fifth cut operator was called Protector, and this guy is interesting. His loadout would have consisted of an MP5, barbed wire, nitro cells, and what's really interesting to me, the USP, which wasn't introduced into Siege until Operation Velvet Shell in 2017 with Jackal and Mira. He would have been 2 health and 2 speed. The sixth cut operator was called Trapper, and I'm a bit confused on this guy, because based off his operator portrait, he looked like he'd also used barbed wire like the Protector. Maybe he was originally meant to be Bandit. He would have been a 1 speed and 1 health operator. Now these 6 cut operators were originally ops seen in the pre-alpha trailer and very early private builds of the game for testing before being replaced by the actual operators. Still, I think it's interesting to mention them. These next 2 ops are really interesting, and you've probably never heard of them. The first we will talk about was called Patcher. Apparently there's a working prototype of this op out there somewhere, but was never released. Patcher would have been like Castle, so most likely a defender, that had some sort of ranged equipment that would have allowed them to rebuild windows, doors, and even reinforced walls. This op was meant to come out in 2017, but apparently was cut because the devs couldn't figure out how to make them different enough from Castle. If a lot of this sounds familiar, that's because most of what this operator's gadget would have been was eventually given to Azami. In a similar fashion, our 8th and final operator had some ideas that went to Azami. This operator would have been called Fluber. Once again, a working prototype of them exists somewhere. Intended to be released in 2020, they would have had a similar gadget to Ella's mines, but instead of stunning enemies, it would have made this green goo cover the ground, presumably slowing down enemies like barbed wire. Apparently the effect of the mine going off was given to Azami, but this op sounds more like Gridlock. I'm curious too if this would have been an attacker or defender. Honestly, Fluber seems like a really cool op. I hope this one comes back one day, maybe as a Gridlock type op for defense. I mean, I know we have barbed wire and stuff, but maybe this is a permanent thing that can only be removed with fire or something. And Patcher I think would be really cool as an attacker. With a similar ability to Azami, just think of how cool it would be to have attackers barricade a destroyed wall or broken door after the diffuser is planted to give them a little bit of extra protection. It's not like it would be crazy OP, it would break easily with melee attacks or explosives. I don't know, maybe that makes the attackers too OP, but I think it would be a cool idea. So, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me on Patcher being a potential attacker and Fluber being a potential defender, or should they be forever cut? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.